You know, there's something so revealing about a house after it's been through a storm like Hurricane Melissa. It's not just a building anymore, is it? It becomes this record of resilience. It literally shows you where the wind tested the roofs, where the rain found a way in, and this is the crucial part for you, the seller. It shows where the last owner decided what could wait and what absolutely had to be fixed
Mhm.
right now.
Exactly. And that image, I think, sets the perfect stage for our deep dive today.
It really does. Because if you're a homeowner in Jamaica right now trying to sell your property,
Hmm.
you are facing this incredibly high-stakes question. Do you sell the house with all its scars, list it as is, or do you step in, do some strategic repairs before it even hits the market?
And it's a complicated decision.
It is. Our mission today is to get past the simple math of it.
Mm.
This is about understanding the subtle intelligence of the market right now. We're going to give you a shortcut to what a buyer is really thinking, what they're feeling post-Melissa.
And that's exactly what we're drawing from in our sources today, especially the insights from Jamaican real estate experts. We're looking at commentary from people like Dean Jones, the founder of Jamaica Homes, and he gives us this crucial window into the current buyer mindset, which has, well, it's fundamentally shifted. So this deep dive is really about giving you the framework to understand that shift.
Okay, let's get into it. Let's start with how the market itself is changing. For a long time, Jamaica's market was,
Yeah.
well, it was a seller's dream, right? Demand just swamped supply.
It absolutely did. And when that happens, when buyers are in a race, imperfections are just. They're the price of admission. You might not have liked it, but you'd overlook the cracked tiles, the old kitchen, maybe even a roof that had clearly seen better days.
Because the goal was just to get a house, any house.
The goal was to get in. You deal with the flaws later.
So what's different now? Our sources are saying that urgency is kind of faded. So why are buyers suddenly taking their time and looking so closely?
It's fascinating, actually. The supply side has quietly started to rebalance the market. You've got your usual new developments coming online, of course, but the big change is the number of existing homes hitting the market all at once. You're seeing a lot of inherited properties or homes from people who are just reassessing their lives after the hurricane. They're deciding now's the time to move on.
More choice?
More choice. And when choice returns, scrutiny follows right behind it. Buyers aren't just rushing through a viewing anymore. They're slowing down. They're looking up at the ceilings. They're checking for damp. They're asking for proof that the house has been cared for. And more importantly, that it's being honest about what it's been through.
Honesty. That seems to be the new currency, maybe even more than square footage. It's about reassurance.
It's everything. Dean Jones puts it perfectly. He says, a Jamaican buyer doesn't expect perfection, but they do expect honesty. And a home that shows care tells a story of responsibility.
And that story has value.
It has a real, tangible value. It suggests that the things you can't see were also taken care of.
Okay, so that leads us right to the big dilemma. Selling as is. It sounds so simple, doesn't it? No headaches, no delays, no spending extra cash. But in this market, why is that simple choice often turning out to be a really expensive mistake for the seller?
Because the phrase as is isn't neutral anymore, not in post-Hurricane Jamaica. Buyers immediately read a signal in those words. It signals, okay, this might be an inherited house and the new owners don't have the funds or maybe the emotional energy to fix it. Or even more directly, this is a house that took a hit from the storm and the seller has decided not to deal with the damage.
But couldn't a seller make the case that it's actually simpler for the buyer too? Let them fix it to their own taste, their own standards. Why is that logic not working right now?
It fails because of one huge practical hurdle: the financing.
The banks.
The banks. This is the critical piece of the puzzle. Most buyers need a mortgage, and when a house needs major work, the lending process it stops cold. Lenders are trying to manage their risk, especially after a huge event like Melissa, and they lean entirely on the valuer's report.
And what are the valuers looking for now?
They are laser focused on durability, on security. They're trained to spot things like differential settlement, where the foundation might have shifted. They look at drainage, at wiring that might be compromised, and of course, the roof. They are checking for modern hurricane clips, for any sign of water damage. It's incredibly detailed.
So we're not talking about an ugly paint color. We're talking about
Yep.
structural integrity.
Exactly. And if that valuer's report comes back with a list of critical storm-related issues, it creates what's called a loan-to-value problem.
Right. So say the house is priced at 20 million Jamaican dollars, but the valuer says it needs 3 million in essential repairs.
Then the bank will often only finance based on the reduced value, the 17 million. Or, even tougher, they'll demand that all those repairs get done before they release the money.
Wow, that just blows up the whole negotiation.
Oh.
The buyer isn't asking for a little discount anymore. They're coming to the table with a $3 million estimate in hand, and they're negotiating with bracing firmness.
You've got it. It turns the conversation from one of, I love this house to a cold, hard calculation. Selling might sound easy, but what you're really doing is handing all the power and all the uncertainty straight to the buyer.
Okay, so let's flip to the other side of this. Intervention, making repairs. I think there's this idea, maybe from watching home renovation shows, that you have to do a massive overhaul,
Yeah.
tear out the kitchen, redo everything. But the sources we looked at suggest that's actually the wrong move in Jamaica right now.
It's often a huge waste of money, a total miscalculation. As sellers are thinking aesthetically what looks nice, but buyers and their valuers are thinking structurally, safety first. So the most effective repairs are often the quiet ones, the intentional ones. They are about signaling care, not about extravagance.
Remediation, not renovation.
That's the perfect way to put it. Think about the small things that send a big message. Fixing the fascia board, clearing the gutters. It shows you're managing water, that you're preventing leaks, getting a contractor to certify your roof repairs, and then showing that certificate to a buyer. It's about making sure doors and windows close properly, that they feel solid against the weather.
So you're not trying to wow them with a new living room, you're just making sure the house no longer apologizes when it rains.
100%. The emotional connection here is tied directly to that feeling of safety. It comes back to what Dean Jones said. People don't fall in love with square footage alone. They fall in love with the feeling that a home has been cared for, even through hard times. That feeling, that psychological reassurance, that's what buyers are willing to pay a premium for.
That's the difference right there. Does the house feel like it just survived, or does it feel like it was actively cared for and restored?
Yes, and this gets into the unspoken sort of cultural context of Hurricane Melissa. There's this collective understanding across Jamaica right now. Everyone knows that repairs are happening, that insurance is slow, that not everyone can fix everything at once. Buyers get it.
There's a degree of empathy there.
There is. But what they don't respond well to is pretense. They can spot a quick coat of paint over a damp wall from a mile away. They know that damp is just going to come right back. They notice when you've put in new light fixtures, a cosmetic fix, when what was really needed was a structural repair to a crack in the foundation.
And that sensitivity to cutting corners.
Yeah.
Is that just savvy buying, or is there something deeper there?
Oh, it's absolutely rooted in local experience. Jamaicans know storms. They know what happens when a home's foundations aren't secure. They know which materials last and which contractors, take shortcuts. So when they see a pretend repair, it doesn't just feel lazy, it feels like a lack of respect for them, for their safety. This isn't about hiding the damage. It's about being clear about the reality.
That is a really powerful point. And it brings up this fascinating idea you mentioned, what we're calling the resilience paradox.
Mm-hmm.
That sometimes a house that has been through the storm and been thoughtfully repaired is actually more appealing.
It can be, yes. We saw one example of an owner with a beautiful old concrete home. After Melissa, they didn't just repaint everything to make it look new. Instead, they fixed the damaged window louvers and replaced the eaves. They showed the house's history, but they also proved it could recover. That thoughtful repair gave the house this quiet authority. It says, I've been tested and I passed. That can be more valuable than a brand new, untested building.
That authority is a type of value you can't really put on a spec sheet. Which brings us, I think, to the role of the real estate agent in all of this. This is such a complicated decision. How does a good agent help a seller navigate it?
The agent becomes your most critical asset. Quietly, they're the bridge between what you, the seller, want and what the buyer now expects. A good agent isn't just listing your house, they're giving you a real cost-benefit analysis. They're the one who can say, look, spending $10,000 on paint is a waste, but spending $500,000 on a certified roof repair could add $2 million to your final sale price and get the financing approved.
So they're the translator. They know which repairs actually move the needle for a valuer and a lender versus what's just decorative.
They are ensuring alignment. That's the key word Dean Jones uses. Real estate is not about forcing a sale, he says. It's about aligning the home, the market, and the moment. The agent helps you get that alignment right. If you do sell as is, they help you price it so that vulnerability is already baked in. It becomes less of a fight. And if you've done the repairs, they make sure those certificates are front and center.
And we should be clear, sometimes selling as is the right move. It's not always avoidance. Sometimes it's just acceptance. Maybe it's an inherited property that needs a total gut job, or your life circumstances just demand a quick, simple closure.
And in those cases, clarity is the best thing you can offer. Be upfront. Price it realistically from day one. Disclose what you know about the damage, maybe even provide an engineer's report. You're allowing the next owner to write the next chapter without any confusion.
It's all about setting the right expectation.
Precisely. As Jones says, not every sale is about squeezing the last cent. Sometimes it's about closing a chapter with dignity and clarity. And knowing which of those is your goal, profit maximization or dignified closure, that's the key to your whole strategy.
So to bring this all together for you, the listener, selling a home in Jamaica right now it's a surgical decision set against this huge backdrop of recovery. You don't have to fix everything. But what you do fix has to be intentional. It has to be honest. Focus your money on signaling security and care. Address the foundation before you worry about the facade.
And just remember this final thought. Houses remember. And buyers, they can sense it. The decision you make right now, whether to repair the scars or just cover them up, that decision will set the tone for the entire next chapter of that home's life. Because when you're gone, the walls are going to keep speaking. They'll just be speaking to someone else. So maybe the question to ask yourself is, what story does your property tell? Is it a story of neglect? Or is it a story of resilience? Because that story, we now know, has real financial value.